I'm Christoph Simpson, a member and one of the current leaders of Lands. So, Lands recently celebrated our fourth anniversary, and we decided to start finding easier ways to engage more people outside of our movement. And I'll get a little into how and why. So, Lands is still an emerging movement, being developed as a sort of network right now. The original intention was to simply consolidate the voices of the left in Jamaica. So the left, that's the persons who have been historically associated with democracy and socialism, um, as well as other things like Pan Africanism. So yeah, we decided we wanted to consolidate the voices of the left in Jamaica. So progressive persons from different backgrounds, like some of the ideologies I just mentioned. So our main focuses right now are along the lines of justice in terms of like general social justice, but also racial justice, economic justice, workers' rights, the environment, and we're also just concerned in general about how we as a people and how our leaders understand development. Now, you may have seen or heard me representing Lands before, but Lands has a collective leadership. We also have roughly 40 full members, and separate from the full members, you have over 120 other persons who are like active participants in our meetings and they contribute to our internal discussions. So, with that, after bringing ourselves together as progressive voices within Jamaica to discuss current affairs and to engage in political education together, we've developed some sort of common identity and common cause, and we always try to arrive at some sort of consensus on each issue that we discuss. So we discuss something in our different meetings because we have different groups, and we try to come to some sort of agreement, some general sort of agreement in how we look at an issue and what to do about it. So, when we develop consensus on how to analyze an issue, the next step that we take is to develop consensus on how to address the issue. Sometimes we try to decide whether or not we can even address the issue at all. Like, what can we do? So many things get proposed. So we've had proposals for small projects and initiatives, public campaigns, development of policy proposals, and people have even proposed doing demonstrations and protests. Uh, but sometimes protest movements develop already, and then we don't want to jump in and co-opt something. Other times, starting something on our own, it you have to think about a lot of things in a protest, and it's not something that in our current capacity we're ready for. So yeah, we discuss these things thoroughly before we take any sort of action. Now, we have taken some sorts of action, but we haven't really been effective in communicating this or calling media attention to it. So, what we're trying to do now is find more effective ways of just getting the word out that, hey, there is a group of people that exist that care about these issues and are trying to do things about them. So, we made submissions to the government on things like minimum wage, workers' rights, trade policy, and general economic policies. And we've also made presentations in Parliament about workers' rights and sexual violence. And sometimes, whether during or after we discuss things internally, we realize that persons who are not a part of lands have perspectives that are similar to the ones that we within lands hold. So this has led us to see a greater need for putting more effort into sharing the material with others, like our material and our ideas. And that aside, there's just a greater need for public engagement in general. And you listening to me right now is a part of that. An example is when we're discussing like minimum wage, which the minimum wage law revolves around working hours as well, because it's the minimum wage for a 40-hour work week, and if you go over that time that you're supposed to work, you're supposed to get overtime pay. If you work on a public holiday, you're supposed to get a specific amount per hour, which I think is time and a half. No, I think you get double pay, but overtime pay is time and a half, and so on. So minimum wage policy is developed around working hours, and internally we've been trying to develop a paper for some time now on just formally showing the government the benefits of having shorter work days and working hours and moving towards a longer business day. And that's something we can get into another day. What does it mean to have a shorter work day and a longer business day? So these are things that we discussed, and we've seen persons talking about this stuff as well. We could have a shorter work day in Jamaica, and we want these persons to know, hey, there's a movement that's actually pushing that idea, and it's something that we've had sitting down on and that we've been discussing internally, but we haven't really communicated it externally because there isn't some large public discussion on, hey, let's just talk about shorter working hours. But if we could make it a public discussion, we would, but we don't have those resources. So we discuss things internally still, and then what we're doing now is to share some of that with people, like what we discuss, what we're focusing on, and some of our ideas. So starting now, we'll try to do a sort of recap of each week at the beginning of the following week, and follow up with us to see us releasing more content like this. So again, I'm Christoph Simpson. I'm a member and one of the leaders of Lands. And thanks for taking your time to listen to this.